A few days later, at the Creator's Sacred Grace Guild headquarters, the secretary then came to Yun Sung-a's office and congratulated her on reaching global rank 250. Yun Sung-a just smiled slightly at that. She then thanked him. She felt that time passed so quickly and it was already October. She asked him if there was any news lately. The secretary pondered for a moment, suffering from her question. He then said, "Come to think of it, there was a rumor that said that Geronimo accepted a new mercenary." Yun Sung-a was surprised and happy to hear the news. She felt this was good news. Their Jin extermination team always welcomed reinforcements like them. She then asked about the new member's skills. Hearing that, the secretary immediately answered, "Assassination and sniping." Yun Sung-a was not surprised to hear that answer. When it comes to Geronimo, he is definitely a person who is an expert in that field. She asked if there was any information about his identity, but unfortunately, the secretary replied that there was none. Even their informants had only heard vague rumors. There was not much information they could provide. Hearing that, Yun Sung-a found it interesting. After thinking for a while, the secretary continued, "The only information they could gather was the codename he used. If not mistaken, he called himself Demonic Wolf." Meanwhile, at Cube Dormitory, right after Hajin finished bathing, he then once again read the message that the boss sent to him. The boss in the message said that the reward on his last mission, item worth 300 million won, had been sent to his Violet Banquet account. The boss gave his login code and username in that message. Although he had read the message many times, but the code name still made him feel unusual. It sounded great. When it comes to Demonic Wolf, the first thing that comes to people's minds is definitely the wolf monster in Nordic mythology, Fenrir. As far as he knows, the official classification name is Demonic Wolf. Right when he read the message and learned that his code name is Demonic Wolf, Hajin confusedly asked the boss through the message, "Isn't that name too much for me to use?" But, the boss replied no. She even felt that it suited him. His sharp eyes matched the name. Hajin only felt that her answer did not make sense at all, because Hajin realized that his eyes did not resemble a wolf at all. Instead they were more inclined to a round shape. But, when Hajin could only feel confused about it, he then heard Evangel calling him. After Hajin put on clothes, he then immediately met Evangel and asked her, "What's wrong?" With an enthusiastic face, Evangel then showed him something. It was a transparent wolf that looked like a hologram. Hajin was quite amazed to see it. He then immediately asked her what it was. He also praised Evangel for being able to make this kind of thing. While handing the wolf to him, Evangel said that this was a gift for him. Hajin was stunned for a moment hearing that. While pointing towards himself, Hajin then confusedly asked if this was for him. Evangel confirmed it. After that, Evangel then touched the back of the wolf's neck. Her touch seemed to activate something that made the wolf, who had been silent like a statue, suddenly move and make a howling motion. Hajin was then shocked to see the wolf suddenly come to life. But, his shock did not stop there. The wolf suddenly accelerated. Judging from its direction, it looked like it was going to pounce towards Hajin. Hajin was then shocked to see that. He was completely unprepared and could only helplessly watch the wolf pounce towards him. Hajin's body then fell to the floor due to the shock brought about by that. The environment was suddenly silent for a moment after that. Neither Evangel nor Hajin said a word, but fortunately the wolf seemed harmless and did not cause any injuries to him. Seeing Evangel, who held back her laughter until her body trembled, Hajin then realized that he had been pranked by her. He then immediately tickled her body because he was annoyed by her naughty behavior. Evangel's laughter broke out as a result of the tickle. She begged him to stop it. It was ticklish. After a while, after Hajin stopped the tickle, Evangel then could only wearily lay her body on the floor. She was tired from laughing too much. Evangel also said that she was not pranked. Her words made Hajin pay more attention to his body condition and finally felt something, and when he looked towards his chest, he was then shocked when he saw a wolf tattoo there. He was confused by what this was. Right at that moment, several system notifications then appeared. It turned out to be a buff from the wolf spirit. It was now lodged in his body and claimed him as its master. The buff has several effects. The first is Wolf's Aura, which increases his strength, endurance, agility, and vitality stat by 0.1. The second is Wolf's Instinct, which allows him to summon a large wolf that will protect him once he senses a deadly threat. And the last is Wolf's Movement, which reduces the sound of his footsteps. Hajin was stunned when he read that. He then recalled when Evangel handed over the wolf to him. She said at that time that this was a gift for him. Remembering that, Hajin wondered if she did this because she wanted to show her new abilities to him. Hajin was really touched by that. He then immediately hugged Evangel and said that she was really sweet. He also apologized to her for misunderstanding, but Hajin then could only feel confused because he didn't feel any reaction from Evangel after hugging her, and when he looked towards her, Evangel was already asleep. Seeing that, Hajin wondered if she had passed out because she was too tired. Hajin smiled slightly at that. He then hugged her little body and thanked her. After that, Hajin then took Evangel's little body to the bedroom and put it on the bed. He also did not forget to cover her body with a blanket, but Hajin then heard the sound of a cat meowing behind him, and when he looked back, it turned out to be Whitey. Seeing that cat, Hajin then asked her if she wanted to sleep near Evangel. Whitey meowed as a sign of confirmation of that. After stretching her body for a moment, Whitey then jumped into bed and slept next to Evangel. Hajin's heart somehow warmed when he saw that. They used to fight a lot, which made him worry whether he had made a mistake for bringing the two of them together, but when he saw the two of them so inseparable like now, his heart felt relieved. For the record, right after he returned from the Wind Mountains, probably because of his new hairstyle, Evangel always stayed away from him. He really missed her because he had not seen her for a long time, but she treated him like that. This made his heart hurt. That's what made Hajin go back to wearing his old hairstyle. But when Hajin was thinking about that, he was then surprised when he heard a notification sound from the notebook. An item has been delivered, and when he saw the logo on the message, he then realized that it was from the Violet Banquet. He wondered if this was the mission reward that the boss said. He was also quite curious about what they sent, and right after Hajin pressed the accept button, the Violet Banquet logo on the message suddenly floated into the air, and like a small portal, an item then appeared from inside the logo. The item had a circular shape with a hole in the middle, and when Hajin identified it, he later learned that it was an item called Top Tier Under Armor. The item had several effects, such as physical enhancement which increased his strength, endurance, vitality, and agility by 0.3, artifact effect that will activate when he consumes mana on the item, posture correction that can help his maintain an ideal body, underwater that allows him to breathe underwater, and haste that increases his defense. Hajin was amazed when he read these effects. Hajin then decided to wear it immediately. He attached the item to his chest and flowed his mana into it. After that, the item then stuck to his chest like a magnet. His mana also seemed to be overflowing at this time, a defense item that could emit and envelop his body with mana. Hajin realized that this item should be worth more than 300 million, at least up to 1 billion. Hajin was very happy to receive such a valuable reward. It was indeed the right decision to let the boss choose the gift. Right after that, he then received a message from the boss asking if he had gotten the item. While laughing happily, Hajin replied yes. He also thanked her, but Hajin's heart then calmed down when he read the next message sent by the boss. The boss said that his next mission has been decided. Meanwhile, at the nursing home where Fernan Jesus used to be, while the receptionist was sitting there bored, her attention was soon distracted when she saw someone running so hurriedly to get in there. That person was Tomar. She said that she was looking for a patient, although the receptionist was a little confused why she was in such a hurry, but she didn't mind it and immediately asked her about the name of the patient she wanted to see. Tomar caught her breath for a moment hearing that. She then replied, Benjamin Agus. She also described his appearance. He was Latin. His appearance does not look like his real age. Hearing that, the receptionist remembered for a moment. While the receptionist was remembering, Tomar then took out something from her pocket. It was a few photos of Benjamin Agus. The receptionist immediately remembered when she saw the photo. She said that he was a quiet person, but the receptionist suddenly showed a rather hesitant behavior. She then hesitantly said that he had passed away. It was about 2 years ago. Tomar was then shocked when she heard the news. This was the worst news for Tomar. Tomar clenched her hands tightly. She really couldn't believe this. The name and address of the facility where he was staying were exactly the same as what she got from the Truth Office. The Truth Office had told her that his father, Fernan Jesus, had died, but Tomar certainly didn't want to believe it and came here herself. But it turned out, the ridiculous story was indeed true. He ran away after throwing her life into a pit. He ended up here, lived comfortably, then died in peace. This was really an ending that Tomar could not accept at all. Tomar then asked the receptionist, "Do you have a will or any personal belongings?" The receptionist did not answer her question immediately. She said that first she had to ask for clarity about her and Benjamin's relationship. Hearing that, Tomar said, "His real name is Fernan Jesus. Benjamin Agus is just a pseudonym, and my name is Jamer Jesus." While gritting her teeth, Tomar also added, "He is my biological father." While handing her business card to the receptionist, Tomar continued, "I can vouch for my identity with my mage qualification ID." Hearing that, the receptionist said that she understood, but, she said that to be honest, she also didn't know much about him, she only interacted once with a student who came here for volunteer work. After saying that, the receptionist finally remembered, and said that the student also came here again recently, maybe he knows something. Hearing that, Tomar immediately asked about the name of that student. Hearing that, the receptionist asked her to wait for a while, and immediately checked the history of recent visits, but, while Tomar was waiting, she then again received several messages from her colleague at the headquarters. Her colleague said that she had passed the time limit and told her to come back immediately. He also said that a disciplinary committee will be held in regards to this mission's delay. In a sarcastic tone he also congratulated her on her demotion. He laughed at her for failing even though she was very arrogant when she accepted this mission. Tomar was certainly upset to read these messages. She inwardly swore at them. She decided not to have a relationship with them anymore. After all, her goal was also almost complete, but fortunately, shortly after that, she then got good news. After a while of searching, the receptionist finally found the name of the student who was visiting at that time. The name of the student was Kim Hajin, a cadet from Cube. The shock in Tomar's heart could not be described in words when she heard the name. She even dropped her smartwatch because of her surprise. Tomar really did not expect that it was Kim Hajin. The figure of Hajin then appeared in her mind. She wondered if he was Kim Hajin that she know.